The world of cinema saw the arrival of a new contender in the fall of 2025 with the film. Released in theaters on September 19, 2025, this movie was presented as a psychological horror film with a unique sports-centric twist. Directed by Justin Tipping and produced by the notable Jordan Peele under his Monkey Paw Productions banner, expectations were understandably high for a project that promised to blend athletic ambition with deep, unsettling terror. The film stars Tyreek Withers as the young protagonist Cameron Cade and features a dramatic turn from Marlon Wayans as the legendary football icon Isaiah White. Julia Fox also appears in a supporting role, adding another layer to the film's intriguing ensemble cast. The story introduces us to Cameron Cade, a young and exceptionally talented college quarterback whose entire life has been built around the game of football. He stands on the very edge of achieving his lifelong dream, being selected in the upcoming professional draft. His journey is not just about personal ambition, it is deeply intertwined with his childhood idolization of Isaiah White, a quarterback whose own legendary career was famously marked by both incredible success and a devastating, career-altering injury. Cameron sees a reflection of his own potential in Isaiah's past glory, making the older player a symbol of everything he hopes to become in the competitive world of professional sports. Cameron's path to a professional career, however, is violently thrown off course. After a successful college season, his future is placed in serious jeopardy when he suffers a severe head injury following a mysterious and brutal attack. This incident isn't just a physical setback. It becomes a profound psychological blow that threatens to unravel all of his hard-earned progress and shatter his confidence right before the most important evaluation of his career. The injury leaves him vulnerable and desperate, searching for any possible way to reclaim his momentum and prove to scouts and to himself that he still has what it takes to compete at the highest level of the sport. With his dreams hanging precariously in the balance, the film establishes its central conflict. We see a young man whose identity is completely fused with his athletic prowess, now facing the terrifying possibility that it could all be taken away from him in an instant. This initial setup lays the groundwork for a compelling narrative, exploring the immense pressure placed upon young athletes and the fragility of a future that depends so heavily on physical perfection. The stage is set for a story that promises to delve into the dark side of ambition, fame, and the relentless pursuit of greatness, making the audience question what sacrifices are truly worth making for a shot at glory. Just when Cameron Cade's future seems its bleakest, an unexpected and almost unbelievable opportunity arises from the shadows of his despair. He receives a personal invitation from none other than his childhood hero, Isaiah White. The celebrated quarterback, now a reclusive and enigmatic figure, offers Cameron a chance to come train with him for a week at his isolated desert compound. For Cameron, this is more than just a training opportunity. It is a lifeline thrown to him by the very man he has always looked up to. Believing this is his one and only shot to get back into peak condition, he eagerly accepts the invitation, unaware of the sinister reality that awaits him. Upon arriving at the sprawling, remote compound, Cameron quickly begins to realize that this is no ordinary training camp. The atmosphere is immediately unsettling, filled with a strange, cult-like energy. He is surrounded by Isaiah's devoted followers, including his eerie wife Elsie, and a questionable doctor who seems all too eager to administer strange injections. The training methods themselves are far from conventional. Instead of focusing on standard drills and physical conditioning, Isaiah subjects Cameron to a series of bizarre, psychologically taxing and increasingly abusive tests that seem designed to break him down rather than build him up, all under the guise of forging a champion. The film's narrative then takes a deliberate and slow turn into the realm of psychological horror. The idyllic image of a hero mentoring his successor completely shatters, replaced by a disturbing power dynamic. Isaiah White is revealed not as a benevolent guide, but as a sadistic and manipulative figure who seems to derive a twisted pleasure from the hazing and torment he inflicts upon Cameron. The compound, decorated with strange pagan and demonic symbols, becomes a prison of paranoia and fear. Cameron finds himself trapped, isolated from the outside world, and forced to endure a nightmare orchestrated by the man he once revered as a god of the gridiron. As the week progresses, the training devolves into a series of surreal and grotesque events that push Cameron to his absolute mental and physical limits. The film attempts to build tension by slowly peeling back the layers of Isaiah's dark empire, showing that the price of entry into his world is far more than just sweat and effort. Cameron is forced to confront the horrifying truth that his idol is not interested in helping him succeed, but is instead testing his very soul in a perverse and dangerous game. The dream of being trained by a legend has morphed into a fight for survival against a monstrous personality. One of the most significant points of discussion surrounding is its handling of deep and relevant themes. The film touches upon several powerful ideas, including the immense pressure on athletes, the dangers of celebrity idolization, the exploitation of black bodies in sports, and the pervasive nature of toxic masculinity. These are all incredibly potent subjects that could have provided a strong foundation for a compelling and thoughtful horror story. The premise itself, of a young player being consumed by the very system he wishes to join, is rich with potential for social commentary. The film had all the right ingredients to say something profound about the modern sports world. Unfortunately, according to the majority of critical reviews, the movie fails to explore these themes with any meaningful depth or care. Instead of thoughtfully dissecting these complex issues, the script seems to use them merely as a backdrop for a series of visually flashy but narratively empty sequences. The film prioritizes a quirky and aggressive aesthetic, employing quick cuts, jarring edits, and a loud, discordant soundtrack that often feels more distracting than immersive. This focus on style ultimately comes at the expense of substance, leaving the audience with a collection of provocative images that lack a coherent or impactful message, feeling random and disconnected from a central thesis. Many critics labeled the film as a major disappointment and a classic case of all style, no substance. The screenplay, co-written by the director, was described as underdeveloped and confused, unable to decide what kind of story it wanted to tell. Is it a body horror film, a psychological thriller, a satire of celebrity culture? The movie attempts to be all of these things at once but masters none of them, resulting in a narrative that feels inert and hollow. Even the horror elements, which were heavily teased in the promotional trailers, were found to be surprisingly minimal and ineffective, with a climax that many felt was tepid and unsatisfying. Despite the widespread criticism of the film's script and direction, some praise was reserved for the performances, particularly that of Marlon Wayans. Many reviewers noted that he delivered a strong and nuanced performance as the sinister Isaiah White, showcasing a darker side of his acting range that audiences had not seen before. Tyreek Withers was also seen as earnest and committed in his role as Cameron, though his character was often let down by the underdeveloped script. However, even these standout performances were not enough to save the film from its fundamental flaws, leaving it feeling like a wasted opportunity to tell a truly powerful story. In conclusion, 2025 stands as one of the year's most significant cinematic disappointments, a film that possessed a brilliant premise but ultimately fumbled its execution. It aimed to be a thought-provoking psychological horror film that peeled back the curtain on the dark side of professional sports, fame, and the dangerous nature of hero worship. The initial setup, following a promising young athlete whose career is jeopardized, was compelling and drew viewers in with the promise of a tense and meaningful story. The introduction of a legendary but troubled idol as a mentor added another layer of intrigue, creating high hopes for a sharp and insightful narrative. However, the film's powerful potential was unfortunately squandered by a script that lacked focus and a directorial style that prioritized flashy visuals over coherent storytelling. The important themes of exploitation and toxic masculinity were introduced but never properly explored, floating on the surface without ever diving into the depths of what makes these issues so resonant. The result is a movie that feels hollow at its core, an assault on the senses that offers plenty of jarring images and loud noises, but provides very little in the way of emotional or intellectual engagement. It is a story that feels underdeveloped and ultimately unsure of its own message. The final impression left by is one of frustration. Viewers are left to ponder what could have been if the story had been handled with more care and precision. The film's mood is relentlessly grim and oppressive, yet the horror fails to land with any real impact, and the narrative resolution feels cheap and unearned. While Marlon Wayans' committed performance offers a few bright spots, it is not nearly enough to overcome the film's pervasive sense of confusion and narrative inertia. It is a movie that looks and sounds intense, but has very little to say beneath its chaotic and stylish surface. Ultimately, will likely be remembered as a cautionary tale in filmmaking, a project with a high-concept idea and the backing of a major producer that failed to connect with critics and audiences alike. It serves as a reminder that even the most promising concepts require a strong, focused script to succeed. The movie's ambition was clear, but its inability to weave its style, themes, and characters into a cohesive whole left it feeling like a missed opportunity. In the end, the film scored very few points, leaving viewers with a sense of emptiness rather than the intended terror or insight.